So, stop everything you are doing. Stop scrolling. Stop sipping your coffee. Stop whatever errand was pulling at the corner of your mind 10 seconds ago, because in the next several minutes, I am going to take you inside the most explosive royal story of our entire lifetime. And I'm going to do it without a single filter, without a single favor, and without a single shred of fear. I want you to picture this. I want you to actually picture it. Close your eyes for one heartbeat and see it. You are Prince William. You are 40-something years old. You are the future king of the United Kingdom. You stand to inherit a 1,000-year throne, a 1,000-year crown, and a 1,000-year reputation. Your face is going to be printed on the currency of an entire nation. Your name is going to open the constitutional sessions of 15 countries across the Commonwealth. The eyes of the entire planet are going to be fixed on you the moment the title passes. And 6,000 miles away, somewhere in the dry, sun-bleached hills above Montecito, California, your younger brother is raising 2 small children whose place in your bloodline has become, let us not pretend otherwise, the most quietly debated, most internationally whispered, and most uncomfortable question in modern royal history. So what do? Honestly, take one full second and step into those handmade leather shoes for one heartbeat. Do you call a press conference? Do you demand a DNA test on global television? Do you send your private secretary into the hills of Santa Barbara with a courier envelope and a swab kit? Or do you let the institution itself, that ancient, granite-cold, 1,000-year machine, do the surgical work for you, the way it has done 100 times before your name was ever stitched into the cloth of the crown? That is the question I want you to sit with for the next several minutes, because I am going to walk you through. I'm going to take you inside it. I am going to take you inside the bloodlines, inside the corridors, inside the carpeted silence of palace meeting rooms, and inside the heads of every single person at the center of this entire story. And by the time we are done, I promise you, I truly promise you, that you are going to look at the future of the British monarchy in a way you have never looked at it before. So, get comfortable. Pour yourself something stronger than a cup of tea. Settle in, because here we go. Let me state the question as plainly as it can possibly be stated. Can Prince William, the future King William, force Prince Harry's family to take DNA tests to prove that they are actually royal? Or would he prefer to remove them entirely from the line of succession? Here is the truth as I have come to understand it. I have taken calls late at night from people who would never allow their names to appear next to a quote. I have read documents that were never meant for the public eye. So when I tell you what I am about to tell you, I am speaking from a place of accumulated, painstaking, granular knowledge. Prince William would prefer that they do the right thing. I know that. I know it for an absolute fact. I have heard it from people who have stood close enough to him to feel the weight in his voice when this exact topic comes up, over dinner, over a glass of wine, during the kind of late evening conversation where the masks finally slip. But here is the wrinkle. Here is the thing you have to truly and deeply understand. Prince William also acknowledges, quietly and privately, that they are never going to do the right thing. They are never going to walk back across the Atlantic with their hands open and their heads slightly bowed and say, "We are sorry. We are ready to make this right." Because when, and I mean this seriously, when have Prince Harry and Meghan Markle ever done the right thing in this entire 7-year saga? Take a full moment. Go back across the timeline. Try to find that single moment. Try to find the morning, the afternoon, the press conference, or the carefully worded statement where Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped forward and said, "You know what? We got that one wrong. We are sorry. We want to make amends." You will not find it. There is no such moment. It does not exist. Across every single chapter of this saga, from the engagement interview to the Megxit announcement, from the Oprah Winfrey special to the Netflix series, from the Spare memoir to the Centibale collapse, the pattern is always the same. Double down. Blame. And then, when the noise gets loud enough, do it all over again with a fresh accusation and a fresh camera crew. So, I would not say that Prince William is in any way relishing the idea of having to punish them. I would not say he is relishing the possibility of having to strip them of anything. And I certainly would not say there is any glee in his voice when this topic is raised. Quite the opposite. In fact, there is exhaustion. There is sadness. There is the long, slow grief of a man who lost his brother years ago, who has been mourning him quietly ever since, and who has come to accept that there is no return path on the road they have chosen. But is he prepared to do what has to be done? 150%. And the reason is simple. He understands the level of risk these two grifters now pose directly to the institution he has spent every conscious second of his life preparing to inherit. Now, to the DNA question specifically, because I do not want you to walk away from this section with anything less than absolute clarity on this point. Could Prince William demand a DNA test? Of course he could. The Crown holds powers, both formal and informal, that most people in the general public. Most people do not even begin to appreciate those powers until they see them wielded in real time. The Crown can rewrite the line of succession. The Crown can issue letters patent. The Crown can revoke royal styles. The Crown can authorize investigations that move with the quiet, devastating efficiency of an ancient machine that has been operating for 1,000 years. But will it ever get to the point of a forced DNA test? I am going to be completely and brutally honest with you. It is not going to get to that point, and the reason is not that Prince William lacks the spine for it. The reason is not that he is squeamish about a fight. The reason is far simpler and far more elegant. He simply does not need to. Look at the entire Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor situation. I want you to really examine it, because what happened to Prince Andrew is the dress rehearsal for what could happen to Prince Harry. And anyone paying attention can already see the choreography. Prince Andrew, the favorite son. Prince Andrew, the late Queen's golden boy. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, the man who once stood only feet away from the throne. Watch what happened. Watch how quickly, how surgically, and how silently the machine moved. When the decision was finally made, the military titles were stripped away. The royal patronages were removed. His Royal Highness style was effectively retired from public use. Even the Duke of York title itself, once considered untouchable, suddenly became negotiable. The man was removed from the public face of the institution as though he had been carefully edited out of an old family photograph with a steady hand and a sharp blade. And here is the part that should make every honest royal watcher sit up straight. None of it required a vote in Parliament. None of it required a public referendum. None of it required a DNA test, a court case, or a media circus. It required exactly one thing: the will of the monarch. The quiet, granite-cold will of the man or woman wearing the crown. So, when you ask whether Prince William has to force Prince Harry's children to take a DNA test, you are asking the wrong question. You are asking the question the tabloids want you to ask. You are asking the question that generates headlines, clicks, and endless angry comment threads. But the real question, the question I want you to walk away from this script asking yourself, is this: does Prince William even need a DNA test when he already holds the machinery of the crown in his hands? The mechanism is already established. The mechanism is well rehearsed. And the mechanism is brutally, devastatingly effective when it is finally activated. And when Prince William eventually ascends to the throne, and we all hope that day remains many, many years away, the choice in front of him will not be whether to demand a swab. The choice will be whether to leave the names of his brother's children in the line of succession at all. So while I have absolutely no doubt that Prince William carries the same questions, the same doubts, and the same quiet suspicions that many people have carried after those two extraordinarily curious births, the births where no photographs were released according to conventional palace tradition, the births where the timeline raised more eyebrows than it answered, the births that became the subject of more late-night kitchen table conversations than any royal arrival in living memory. Does he actually need to force them to take a DNA test? I am afraid the answer is no. He does not. He will simply remove the threat by other means. He will let the institution do what the institution has always done. He will allow silence, protocol, and slow procedural removal to accomplish what a DNA test could only achieve in a louder and uglier fashion. Think for a moment about what those births looked like to the rest of the world. Think about every other royal arrival in modern memory, the famous step photographs outside the Lindo wing, the hospital appearances, the brief but joyful presentation to the cameras. the carefully released photographs, the traditional notice displayed on the easel outside the palace. Outside Buckingham Palace, written by hand in beautiful calligraphy. Now contrast that, soberly and honestly, with the way the announcements arrived from California. The vagueness, the delayed information, the shifting timelines, the almost complete absence of independent verification. I'm not making accusations. I am not suggesting anything beyond what the public record itself already suggests. I am simply pointing out that the questions in the public mind did not appear by accident. They appeared because the information vacuum was so unusually wide, so unusually empty, that human imagination naturally rushed in to fill the space. And once those questions take root in the public mind, they become very, very difficult to erase. And honestly, between you, me, and every single person listening right now, that may be even more devastating in the long run. Because a DNA test, regardless of the outcome, ends the story. A quiet removal from the line of succession, on the other hand, leaves the question hanging in the air forever. The doubt becomes the legacy. The doubt becomes the only thing those children inherit. And if that sounds harsh, then take it up with the people who arrange things this way, because Prince William, I promise you, did not write that script. He is only going to be the man who closes the curtain. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Because there is a second question, even larger, even darker, and even more personally devastating than the first, that always rises in the wake of this one. Do not move. Do not look down at your phone, because what I am about to walk you through next is going to change the way you look at the marriage in Montecito forever. Considering Prince Harry and Meghan Markle created their own mess, every single inch of it, brick by brick, scandal by scandal, betrayal by betrayal, is there anyone left in their circle who is still willing to tell them the truth about their mistakes? And if there is, will they listen? Will they actually listen? And the question that goes deeper still, the question I think every honest royal watcher is whispering to themselves on a quiet Sunday afternoon when the rest of the family has gone for a walk, is this: what will it actually take for Prince Harry to get away from his wife? Because the theory I keep hearing, the theory I have heard at dinner parties, in private group chats, and on royal forums across the internet, goes something like this. Prince Harry needs to do a Katie Holmes. He needs to get his ducks in a row. He needs to stealthily, surgically, and brilliantly blindside his wife the way Katie Holmes blindsided Tom Cruise back in 2012. He needs to plan it for months in silence. He needs to use throwaway phones. He needs to set up the bank accounts, the housing, and the legal team in absolute secrecy, and then strike with such speed that the marriage is over before the other side has even understood that the war has begun. And if Prince Harry could pull that off, the theory goes he would finally show some maturity. He would finally become someone worth supporting by his own family again. Okay, there's a lot to work with here. There's a lot to unpack. So let me take it piece by piece in the only way I know how, straight down the middle. No flinching. No soft pedaling. No diplomatic dressing. First, the question of whether anyone within their circle is still willing to tell them the truth. Yes, of course there is. There is always someone willing to tell the truth. The deeper problem, and this is what so few commentators ever capture properly, is that there has always been someone willing to tell the truth. From the very beginning, from the engagement, from the wedding, from the first months at Nottingham Cottage, from the move to Frogmore Cottage, from the day they touched down on Vancouver Island, and from the moment they walked into that Tyler Perry mansion in Beverly Hills, there has not been a single chapter in this story where some loyal, professional, and often desperate human being was not standing nearby, trying to tell them the truth they did not want to hear. Let me tell you about Sarah Latham. I want you to remember that name, Sarah Latham, because Sarah Latham is the perfect, painful case study for everything that is wrong with the way this couple consumes the people around them. Sarah Latham was a serious player, a consummate professional, a communications strategist who had worked at the very highest levels of American politics, including time within the Clinton operation and other organizations that helped shape global narratives. The Sussexes recruited her with enormous fanfare. They paraded her around like a trophy. Look, we have a real one. Look, we have a heavyweight. And what did Sarah Latham do? She did her job. She told them the truth. She told them how they were being perceived. She told them how they were being received by a public that was beginning to lose patience. She warned them that the alliances they were burning were the very alliances they would eventually need in order to survive long-term. And what happened to Sarah Latham? Well, they fell out with her. They burned the relationship to the ground. They sidelined her advice. They retreated into an echo chamber of yes men and yes women who would tell them only what they wanted to hear. And here is the beautiful, almost cosmically just twist in the Sarah Latham story. She stayed on. She did not leave the world of the British royal family. She stayed and worked for the late Queen. She helped organize the Platinum Jubilee. She helped oversee one of the most successful royal celebrations in modern British history. She found her home within a royal court that actually wanted to be served by serious professionals. And the Sussexes? They were left chasing the next disposable consultant willing to flatter them straight into the ground. And Sarah Latham is just one name. There have been so many other people within that circle who tried to tell the truth. Catherine Hahn, remember her too? She was the first chief of staff in the United States. She lasted barely 11 months before walking away. Then there was Samantha Cohen, who stayed through the transition period before quietly returning to the British royal family. There was Jason Knopf, whose name will return to this story before we are finished. There was the communications team that turned over with the regularity of a revolving door in a department store. There were the household staff at Frogmore Cottage who reportedly left in tears. There were the maids who served at Sandringham during that first awkward Christmas, carrying stories I genuinely cannot repeat on a public platform. People tried. People always tried. They tried gently. They tried sharply. They tried through carefully drafted memos that nobody ever seemed to read. They tried over quiet cups of tea in sunlit kitchens. They tried during difficult conversations as chauffeur-driven cars pulled up outside the gates of Frogmore Cottage on wet British afternoons. They tried at airport departures with hopeful smiles. They tried at airport arrivals with exhausted eyes. They tried in private cars on the way to royal engagements. They tried through voicemails left late at night. And what happened to all of those people? You already know the answer. They were bullied. They were harassed. They were publicly discredited the moment they no longer served the narrative. Some of them were reportedly driven into rehab. And I am not exaggerating that for dramatic effect or to satisfy an algorithm. I am telling you what I have heard directly. I have spoken to people whose entire careers and whose mental health were quite literally dismantled because they had the courage, the misplaced loyalty, and the professional commitment to tell the prince and the duchess the truth about the path they were walking down. So yes, people have tried. People have always tried. Because if you are a professional and you are watching an entire operation collapse in front of you in slow motion, with all the inevitability of a car crash unfolding one frame at a time, you are going to do your absolute best, in a respectful, thoughtful, careful, and deferential way, to steer the ship away from the rocks. That is your job. That is your duty. That is what you were hired to do. But the problem is that Meghan Markle, in particular, will simply say, bye-bye. No conversation. No reflection. No pause. Just, bye-bye. And the staff member is gone, replaced by the next person who has not yet learned the lesson. And Prince Harry, let us be honest with one another here, because I have spent years pulling my punches on this point, and I am done doing that, is not the wide-eyed, gentle, sweet-natured innocent he is sometimes portrayed as in the press. He is not the lost boy who simply needs a hug. Prince Harry has his own capacity for cruelty when his back is against the wall. He has his own capacity for vengeance. Look at what the response to truth-telling actually looks like in their world. It does not look like reflection. It does not look like growth. It does not look like a quiet, private conversation around a kitchen table. It looks like scorched earth. It looks like leak campaigns. It looks like coordinated messaging through friendly journalists. It looks like the deliberate destruction of the reputation of anyone who had the audacity to say the obvious out loud. So when you ask whether anyone in their circle is still willing to tell them the truth, the answer is yes. The deeper, more painful answer is this. The people willing to tell them the truth no longer stay long enough to make a difference. They tell the truth. They get burned. They leave. And then the next professional walks through the door with the same noble intentions. And the cycle begins again. Let me give you a piece of inside information that you will not hear discussed anywhere else in the British press. There is a quiet, scattered, deeply traumatized group of former staff members who refer to themselves, only in the most private settings, as the Sussex Survivors Club. The name began as a dark joke whispered at dinner parties in London, but over time it evolved into a real, informal network. These are the men and women who served the Sussexes inside Kensington Palace, inside Nottingham Cottage, inside Frogmore Cottage, during the tours to Australia, New Zealand, and Africa, through the early American appearances, and during the doomed final months before the Great Departure. They stay in touch. They check on one another. They share the kinds of stories you will never read in a tabloid because the legal apparatus protecting the Sussexes is considered too aggressive, and the non-disclosure agreements signed during employment are too restrictive. But they know. They know what really happened. And one day, if the legal walls ever begin to crack, some of those stories may finally come out, and the public reckoning could be seismic. And here is something else I want you to understand. The professionals who tried to tell the truth were not simply junior assistants or temporary press handlers. Some of them were among the most senior, experienced, and respected operators in their fields. Think about the kind of person who agrees to leave a serious career in order to work for a young royal couple at the height of their global popularity. Think about the caliber of individual who walked into Kensington Palace believing they were about to help shape one of the greatest public relations success stories of the modern era. These were not interns. These were not amateurs. These were people who, in many cases, had spent decades building their credibility before they ever met Prince Harry or Meghan Markle. And yet they were chewed through with stunning, almost mechanical efficiency. The pattern became so consistent that it almost developed the rhythm of a song. Step 1. You are recruited with enormous enthusiasm. You are flattered. You are courted. You are given the impression that you have been selected specifically because of your unique talents. Step 2. You arrive full of energy, full of ideas, and full of professional confidence. You begin working. You begin making recommendations. Step 3. You offer a piece of advice that conflicts with whatever Meghan Markle has already decided. Step 4. The temperature in the room suddenly drops by 10 degrees. Step 5. Your professional opinions begin to be ignored. Step 6. You find yourself frozen out of meetings. Step 7. Anonymous briefings begin appearing in the press, suggesting that you are difficult to work with. Step 8. You are gone. And by the time you leave, your professional reputation has been so quietly poisoned that you spend the next year answering awkward questions about what really happened. That is the playbook. That has always been the playbook. Now, let us get to the part of this question I know you really came for. What will it actually take for Prince Harry to get away? A lot of things would have to happen. A lot of pieces would need to fall into place. And here is where I need you to lean in, because what I am about to tell you is something I have been reporting on longer than almost anyone else in this space. And I want you to remember that. I want you to go back through the archive. I want you to read the very first exclusive report I ever published. The one where I revealed, before anyone else in the British media dared to put it in writing, that the marriage was already in deep, deep trouble. That report was published while other commentators were still selling the fairy tale. That report appeared while Town and Country magazine was still placing them on glossy covers beneath glossy headlines. Prince Harry is unhappy. He is profoundly, achingly, soul-deep miserable. He has not been seen with the easy, careless joy of. His younger self has not been visible for years now. The boy who danced through the Caribbean. The young man who threw himself into the Invictus Games with that muddy, sweaty, magnetic energy. The prince who stood at the back of Westminster Abbey during his brother's wedding, wearing that goofy, half-embarrassed grin. That young man is gone. He has been gone for a very long time. What remains in his place is a man who looks haunted in nearly every photograph that has surfaced over the past 2 years. The eyes are different. The shoulders are different. The energy is different. You can see it. Everyone has seen it. But here is the trap. He is also quite literally trapped. Trapped is not a metaphor in this story. Trapped is the geography. Trapped is the legal architecture. Trapped is the financial dependency. Trapped is the emotional landscape that has been carefully and deliberately constructed around him over the better part of a decade. And that is where Meghan Markle's emotional manipulation has allegedly done its most devastating, most surgical, and most generationally consequential damage. So, could Prince Harry pull off a Katie Holmes? I love that this theory keeps resurfacing, because it tells you everything you need to know about how badly the public wants to see him free. The public wants the rescue mission. The public wants the great escape. The public wants the cinematic blindside, the dramatic exit through the back of an airport, the photograph of Prince Harry walking out of a courthouse in a new suit with a new lawyer and a new life. The public wants the Tom Cruise ending, with Prince Harry cast in the role of Katie Holmes. But I have to break this down honestly for you. He cannot take the children. He simply cannot. That is California law. That is the brutal, immovable geography of the prison he agreed to walk into. Let me actually explain the Katie Holmes story properly, because I think most people who throw this comparison around only have the vaguest understanding of what she truly pulled off. Katie Holmes had been married to Tom Cruise since 2006. By the time she made her move in the summer of 2012, she had been planning her exit for months. She used disposable phones. She relied on a small, fiercely loyal inner circle made up of family members and lawyers. She rented an apartment in New York City under conditions of absolute secrecy. She even kept her young daughter, Suri Cruise, in the dark until the final hours. And then, with the precision of a military operation, she filed for divorce in New York, a jurisdiction she had specifically chosen because of its more favorable custody framework. And Tom Cruise? He reportedly learned about the end of his marriage from the front pages of the newspapers. He never saw it coming. No one around him saw it coming. The entire operation was over in 11 days. 11 days. From filing to settlement, Katie Holmes walked away with primary physical custody of her daughter and a settlement that, by most accounts, was overwhelmingly favorable to her. That is the Katie Holmes blueprint. That is what people are referring to when they say Prince Harry needs to do a Katie Holmes. And the reason it worked for Katie Holmes is because she controlled the variables. She controlled the jurisdiction. She controlled the timing. She controlled the legal team. She controlled the housing. She controlled the information. And she had a powerful, organized, and well-funded family standing behind her every step of the way. She had her father, an experienced attorney, quietly coordinating things in the background. Now apply that template to Prince Harry. Where is his version of Robert Holmes, the seasoned attorney father quietly managing the operation behind the scenes? Where is his secret apartment in another jurisdiction? Where is his trusted inner circle of family members willing to risk everything to extract him? Where is his independently controlled bank account in a state outside the reach of California family courts? Where is his carefully chosen exit jurisdiction with a more favorable custody framework? The answer in every single case is the same: nowhere. He does not have any of it. He has spent the last 6 years systematically dismantling the very infrastructure that would have made a Katie Holmes-style escape possible. And that is not an accident. That is the design. And let me tell you something else, and you have to understand this, because this is the part the mainstream press never quite explains properly. That is one of the major reasons she always wanted to get him into California in the first place. Not Toronto, not Vancouver Island, not back to a quiet life in the British countryside. California specifically, and specifically the part of California that sits inside the jurisdiction of family courts that leans structurally, almost overwhelmingly, toward the mother in custody disputes involving young children. Once Prince Harry was in California, the trap was set. Effectively, the message becomes, "You are with me for as long as I want you to be with me, and the children stay with me for as long as I want them to stay with me. And if you change your mind, well, good luck. Because there is no court of law in the state of California that is going to allow you to walk out of here with those children in tow, not without years of bloodshed, not without millions of dollars in legal fees, and not without a public spectacle that would shred whatever is left of his reputation as a present, loving, dedicated father." And isolation. Let me say a word about the isolation, because the isolation was always the central design feature. Isolate him from his entire family. Isolate him from his father. Isolate him from his brother. Isolate him from the godparents, the school friends, the polo crowd, the army buddies, the charity colleagues, and the staff who knew him as a boy. Isolate him from every single one of his old friends, the ones who were warning him in private. Rooms in Kensington, around quiet dinner tables in Norfolk, and at the polo grounds in Gloucestershire, that this marriage was going to consume him whole. And the isolation worked. The isolation works on Prince Harry the man. Every single day, he wakes up under that California sun, 6,000 miles from anybody who knew him before the fairy tale began. So how can he do a Katie Holmes? He would have to live away from his children. He would have to actually walk out of those gates and leave them behind, even temporarily, even for the strategic months it would take to construct a credible legal escape. And whatever else you can say about Prince Harry, however many catastrophically bad decisions he has made over the last decade, the man does love his children, genuinely, visibly, painfully. So he will not walk. He cannot walk. And she knows it. She has always known it. The children are the deadbolt on a door that was never meant to open from the inside. Do I think the marriage will eventually collapse? Absolutely. Absolutely yes, under the pressure of the financial desperation that is coming down the tracks. And listen to me very carefully. The financial desperation is coming. It is not theoretical. It is not speculation. It is not wishful thinking from a commentator with an axe to grind. It is on the horizon, and it is moving. The Spotify deal is gone. The Netflix relationship is on visibly shaky ground. The book tour is unrepeatable. The next memoir, if there ever is one, will not command anything close to the advance that Spare commanded. The speaking circuit is finite. The product launches stumble out of the gate. Let me put a sharper point on the financial picture, because I think most people genuinely do not appreciate how exposed they are. The Sussex business model was always, from day one, predicated on a very specific assumption. The assumption was that the world would continue to pay an enormous premium for unfiltered access to Prince Harry, the wounded prince in exile, and Meghan Markle, the misunderstood Duchess. That assumption funded the $18 million private jet trips. That assumption funded the $15 million mansion. That assumption funded the security operation, the staff, the schools, the entire glossy California existence. And that assumption is collapsing in real time, in plain view, in front of all of us. The premium is gone. The novelty is gone. The numbers do not work the way they once did. And the spreadsheet eventually comes for everybody. And then there is the propaganda machine itself. Look at how the glossy magazine ecosystem has been deployed to prop up the marriage narrative, Town and Country, Harper's Bazaar, the carefully placed anonymous source quotes in People magazine, the choreographed photographs at events where the body language tells a completely different story than the headlines. Oh, look, they are still so hot for each other. Oh, look at this beautifully lit photograph from their date night. Oh, look at this anonymous insider telling Hello Magazine that they are stronger than ever. Really? Really? Because it sure does not look like it from where I am sitting. Look at the public appearances over the past 12 months. Count the events they have done together versus the events they have done separately. But let me be clearer with you than I have ever been on this show. The marriage has already collapsed. It collapsed a long time ago. Anyone who does not believe that is buying propaganda, pure glossy magazine cover propaganda. Oh, look, they are still so hot for each other. Oh, look at the body language in this carefully staged photograph. Oh, look at this anonymous source telling Hello Magazine that they are stronger than ever. Really? Really? Because it sure does not look like it from where I am sitting. Look at the public appearances over the past 12 months. Count the events they have done together versus the events they have done separately. Look at the body language. Look at the cold, distant choreography of their public outings. Look at how they pass each other on red carpets like polite strangers attending the same function out of obligation. And I have spent years, sitting in this exact chair, watching this exact marriage shred itself from the inside out. So here is where we land. 2 questions, 2 answers, and every single thread leads back to the same dark, glittering tapestry. A future king who would rather rebuild the institution from the ashes than ask his brother for proof. A younger brother trapped inside a marriage that has already died within its own four walls, but is still being paraded across magazine covers. A wife who built the cage one continent away from anyone who could have pulled the door open from the outside. A circle of professionals chewed up and spat out, scattered across the world, telling versions of the same warning to anybody who will listen. A charity that bore his mother's hopes, collapsed in public view. A family on the other side of the Atlantic, watching the whole thing burn from a distance, knowing exactly what is coming next, and quietly preparing for the day they finally have to act. But here is the line I want you to take away from this. The line I want playing in your head the next time you see a glossy paparazzi photograph of the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle outside a fancy California restaurant, smiling the kind of smile that does not reach the eyes. Every great house, every great institution, every great dynasty has faced this moment. The moment when the future has to decide whether to drag the past with it or to leave the past behind on the shore. And Prince William, when his moment comes, is not going to be the man who hesitates. He is not going to be the man who debates. He is not going to be the man who calls for a DNA swab in front of the cameras. He is going to be the man who simply, quietly, irreversibly closes the door. And here is the part nobody is talking about. The part that should be keeping every single person inside that Montecito compound awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. Time. Time is the variable that nobody on the California side of this story has fully understood. Prince William is younger than his father. Prince William will, in all likelihood, reign for decades. Decades. He will be on that throne when the children are teenagers. He will be on that throne when the children come of age and start to make their own decisions about who they are and where they belong. He will be on that throne when Meghan Markle, the architect of the entire estrangement, is no longer the dominant voice in their lives. And when that day comes, when the next generation is finally able to think for themselves, look at the world for themselves, and weigh up which uncle they want to know and which mother is going to keep them locked in California, the entire calculation of this story changes. Time is on Prince William's side. Time is on the side of the institution. Time, in the end, is the longest, slowest, most patient weapon any monarchy has ever wielded. And Prince William knows it. So do not move. Do not look down at your phone. Do not click away, because the next chapter of this story is the chapter most people get completely, catastrophically wrong. And I am about to walk you through exactly what they have all been missing. Stay with me. You will not want to miss a single second of what comes next.